Hello, this is Hero Registry. Today, I'll be talking about two fan theories related to Iron Man's death in Endgame. First, I want to clarify that fan theories are just for entertainment and are not necessarily true. Only about 5% of fan theories are accurate. So, the two theories I'm about to discuss are interesting rather than just possible. I'm presenting them as a tribute to Iron Man because they make him even more likable. The first theory is that Doctor Strange intentionally chose a future where Iron Man would die, along with Thanos. In other words, Doctor Strange killed both Iron Man and Thanos in one move. When Doctor Strange looked into potential futures where Thanos could be defeated, he saw over 14 million outcomes. Among them, he saw not only possibilities of defeating Thanos, but also another major threat to the universe. This is because in Iron Man's suit, Tony already had Pym particles and the Infinity Gauntlet. Getting the stones wouldn't be difficult for him. Moreover, he already had a theory for time travel. If Iron Man were to constantly use the Infinity Gauntlet and travel in and out of the quantum realm, Thanos' threat wouldn't even compare. He would be more formidable than Infinity Ultron from What If. Tony would be as powerful as Kang and Infinity Ultron combined. A rampant Tony could potentially become the biggest threat to the universe, some might think. Iron Man is a good guy and would only do good things. But remember, Age of Ultron, Tony Stark's desire to protect the world caused an entire city to rise into the sky. If that city had fallen, the world would have ended. If he wanted to protect the entire universe, the consequences would be catastrophic. Doctor Strange, seeing these dangers, devised a long-term plan to eliminate both Tony and Thanos. Among the 4 million futures he saw, there was more than one way to defeat Thanos. However, he chose the outcome we saw in Endgame to eliminate a greater threat at the same time. This theory is quite elegant, but as I said, it's just a theory, so don't take it as fact. The next theory suggests that Kong scripted Tony's death. I might have mentioned this before. Watching the Loki series reveals that everything we've seen in the MCU is according to Kong's will. He controls the TVA to ensure the sacred timeline is maintained. In his sacred timeline, Tony Stark had to die to defeat Thanos. Kong is a human born in the 31st century. Being a genius, he became a conqueror by time traveling and jumping between multiverses. Think about it. A Kong who travels from the future to fight in the present would be in serious trouble if Tony Stark, who had found a perfect time travel theory, were alive. While Tony managed to find a precise time travel theory in less than 5 years, Kong, even from a highly advanced future, supposedly took longer to master time travel. Tony would be a significant obstacle to Kong's plan of conquest by manipulating timelines. Also, it's possible that Kang would face defeat as long as Tony was alive in the universe. Therefore, for Kang to become a conqueror, Tony had to die, which is why Tony's death was scripted in Endgame. Both theories are enjoyable. For an Iron Man fan like me, thinking about it, the Tony Stark from Endgame was terrifying. Although he died because he couldn't withstand the impact of the Infinity Stones. It's certain that if he had had more time, he could have invented a suit capable of enduring those impacts. What he could achieve by combining the Infinity Gauntlet, power, Pym particles, and his time travel theory, along with his brilliant mind, would be incredible. If possible, I'd love to see such a version in What If. That's all for this video.